Today's session will be prioritizing and elevating tickets. As I mentioned before, each and every individual company that you're going to is going to have their own little training session. This is as simple as they get. We'll give you the scenario here of certain ways of elevating and doing it. But as I stated before, every single company will have their way of doing it. Very, very small little tweaks, but depending obviously on the amount of tickets that they need or prioritizations that they need, they'll tweak it in their own way. Overall, by the end of this session, we want to be able to prioritize and elevate tickets and understand the key responsibilities of IT professionals. You're going to learn the purpose and the process of prioritizing and elevating tickets in order to maintain high levels of client satisfactory productivity, or like we like to say, SLAs, level agreements, usually tell us based on the actual prioritization itself. By the end of the session, we will be able to hopefully describe the purpose of prioritizing, the factors to consider when prioritizing, and the impact of each when prioritizing. Given certain scenarios, and we're going to be able to hopefully assign a priority level based on a set of criterias, and then determine when to elevate a ticket to a superior and explain what and how to effectively communicate when elevating. IT professionals prioritize tickets in order to help ensure the clients and the organizations they support are able to operate more efficiently. If we could only imagine, out of the plethora of tickets that are coming in, if we didn't have priority and it was only like in when you go to your butcher shop where everybody get a ticket, and only based on that number is how you would actually get served. You could only imagine the moment that the 100th ticket comes in and we're basically taking care of those 100 tickets, and then we have an emergency and tell them, hey, you know what, I'm going to call you back tomorrow, I just got too many tickets. That's not going to be helpful if a complete site is down. Therefore, that priority ticket will take obviously first place in that theory and be pushed all the way up. When we start triaging our tickets, we must obviously make sure that we base it based on the priority of the tickets that are coming in. IT professionals must understand when and how to elevate in order to ensure our clients receive the service that is excellent. Otherwise, we give them very bad taste in the mouth. So, what does prioritize mean for you, Joshua?
Prioritize means to place things in the order that you want them to be done in.
Okay, that's one way of meaning it. Order of importance, right? If that's any other way, based on the importance level, then we might have some things that might be in the exact same area, but either which way, based maybe on the due date, then maybe we can actually figure it out at that point. So, does anyone remember how much time an IT professional spends triaging tickets?
Uh, 5 minutes.
Okay. Anyone else? No, no, I don't think it was 5 minutes.
14 minutes.
You talking as far as a single ticket or throughout the whole
No, overall time.
working?
Overall time.
Oh, so
Overall.
it'd probably be like 80% of their time, so 6 hours
Somewhere around 80%. I
during the
would
schedule.
have to agree with that number. Believe it or not, you're going to be triaging tickets consistently, unfortunately. As he just mentioned, a lot of times There may be a ticket that's coming in that supersedes the other one, which obviously at that point you could only imagine. As I put it before, triaging is similar to when you're in the emergency room. They're putting you into this little triage room, diagnosing exactly what's going on. And unfortunately, if you have been prioritized to a low level priority, you're sent right back outside to that little waiting room. Then you see Menganito walk in, he's missing half of his leg, and he all of a sudden goes straight right in. Obviously, I'm just exaggerating the moment, but you could only imagine that at that point, whatever it is that they considered non-high priority in your case got pushed back into the main little lobby or queue in our sense, and that emergency of missing a leg, be in this case maybe operation or departments down, that took more prioritization. Therefore, you jumped on that one right away. Should an IT professional tackle tickets in the order they are submitted? Should you always do it exactly in the order that it was brought to you?
Well, you start triaging in the order, right? I mean, you can't start triaging it until something comes in.
Yeah. You start triaging, I'll give you that point. Triaging is when it's coming in. Agree. But tackling, we're going for
Um,
tackling. When we're getting to the point of tackling,
No, it would be in the level of importance, I would think.
yeah, the urges.
hmm okay. Definitely by order of importance is one of the things we need to do. And then obviously, based on that importance, would we all agree then unfortunately, most likely, if we are unable to decipher from one to the other, it would be at that point, if they're exactly the same, would be in order as they came in and maybe transferred to somebody else if it's that important, the other ticket, if can't wait for me to drop what I'm doing.
Yes.
All right. Clicking button. Not that there's a pause because I want to pause. Hey, 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 there we are. That only took me like 15 times. Freely, if you can please help me read this one.
Consider this scenario. The IT professional works for a large company and is working on tackling a ticket submitted last week involving a client who reported her title is not appearing correctly in the email system. Meanwhile, that morning, the entire sales department, which consists of 125 people, is unable to connect to the internet.
Yeah. Does it make sense at this point to prioritize one client's email issue simply because she was the one that submitted it first? Does it make sense at that point?
No, you,
Why
just
not?
because it's a much larger issue for the company, or um, it's not just two people with different things where you could just choose
hmm
randomly. It's a huge thing that affects a lot of people.
Now, you know me, I like to always tell you this is obviously by the book. By the book, I would definitely agree with you. By the book, the whole entire sales department is much more important than this one person. But what if I told you that one person was the CEO?
Isn't it depend on something like the
Oh, that
situation?
changed everything.
Yeah, right? If I told you that was the
CEO is number
president
one.
of the region.
Yeah.
Now, once again, by the book, it doesn't matter what that person's title is. By the book, the entire sales department will supersede. So don't get tricked. By the book in CompTIA is gonna happen that way. In reality, in real life, do not get frustrated when this happens because it's gonna happen. You're gonna wind up not paying attention to what that ID was. You're not gonna go into Outlook and check who this person was. And God only knows if you're fresh into this company, you might not even recognize the region person's name. Fair warning, obviously, by the book, she comes second, and he, with everybody else that's in there, the entire sales department comes first. But in reality, just fair warning, don't get frustrated when your supervisor walks in and say, hey, Joe Schmo called here and you told him to wait. Well, yeah, I have the whole sales department down. You obviously don't know who Joe is, do you? God, I care less who Joe is, but we do get the point. For CompTIA and for the purposes of by the book, we need to identify how many people are really being impacted by this. How important are the services affected to our business? I just threw that curveball in there because now that second one, if the CEO is down and the CEO supersedes whatever it is that affects her compared to these 125. Lastly, the last thing we should be taking note is when does the issue need to be resolved by? Maybe the whole 125 people can wait for her to be back up. Because maybe the 125 people in reality are waiting because there's an outage by the provider. So there's really nothing that I need to do. Great job. So overall, it's not as easy as we thought, do we? When we look at this paragraph right away, a lot of people would think that 125 is more important than the one. Although I would have to agree with you because Spock believes the that the what is it the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one or the few. But in this case, unfortunately, it won't always. What could happen if an IT professional does not effectively prioritize a ticket? What do you guys think could happen?
Angry clients.
There'll be no sort of organization to it all. It'll be pretty much kind of like a chaos.
Bottleneck.
Angry
Bottleneck.
managers.
Yeah, definitely. You're gonna have a lot of people who are not happy. At the same time, as I stated before, we do not explain the part of prioritization. You're going to see that sometimes, unfortunately, some techs like to explain these things to them and try to make sure that they get the fast response. But we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to do our jobs as instructed. So, in addition to these three questions that I just gave you, which is how many people are affected, how important are the services affected to the business, and when does this issue need to be resolved? If there's a ticket you can tackle and within a minute or two before addressing that one that takes like maybe 5 or 6 hours, it would probably be wise to check that one first. For instance, although I might be jumping back to that one that we just said, we have the vice president or the president down and then the 125. The 125, you agree, will probably take me maybe 10 to 15 minutes to take care of and make sure I call it out to that uh, telco, to the telecom. And or I could pass it off to telecom because a lot of the times you can actually pass off to telecom to take care of that issue. And you could then probably tackle the one that deals with resetting the password or whatever was wrong with that person's email. Either which way, we need to be able to identify and see if it's a low, a medium, or a high scale case, depending on its urgency from being the lowest to the highest. All right. We're going to be practicing that also here in a few minutes and look at a few guidelines to be able to determine exactly what it takes to be able to prioritize these cases. So, when you're prioritizing, as I said, you want to be able to first look at those things. Looking at these things, depending if it's just one or obviously if there's none of these areas impacted, that would be considered the lowest. If there's one or more, it'll be a little bit higher, right? Two or more would be medium, and then all three would be high priority. Make sense? Makes sense? Yes, no. So if it's only one user and she continued to do her work, there's no majority of time sensitive because her work might be backed up, but it's just that one person, right? Although, if it is time sensitive, would you agree then for her it is some sort of priority? It's no longer. And if number two, if she was the CEO, it was time sensitive, she's the CEO, she's got two, right? You see how it gets complicated? Same story, different flavor. This is where with those open-ended questions are going to be critical and make sure that we understand fully what's going on and the impact. Questions, concerns. So, as I said, no category severely impacted, low. One category, medium. And two or more is obviously high priority. From that, we're going to be seeing some scenarios. I believe we have some handouts soon that we'll be looking at to be able to practice that. Hey, look at that. What a foreshadow. Give me 1 second here. Stop the share.
I believe the next slide there's like a small time to climb, I believe, activity we can do.
With it?
The priorities.
Well, I must have the wrong one then. You're saying 8B physical. Okay, you guys should be able to see it now. Okay, got 9 connected. Poor little alien, he's by himself. I'll be in you. All right. I can start it. Yeah, might as well. Thank you. Next one. Number so and so. Date. David is leaving. A all staff training day and reports that the internet is not working in a conference room. What prior level is this?
Diego, we can't hear you. The music is way too loud.
That should help. So what priority level do we believe this is? Let's see. Low, none, high, medium. I wonder which one. The ticket number for so and so is leading a staff training and reports the internet is not working in the conference room. Next one. Our ticket number. Maya Costa reports that she has lost her power charger cord. She has battery power to last about 3 hours and then will no longer be able to work. Which priority level is this? I wonder. Mm, 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 mm. Is it me or is it stuck?
Appear stuck.
It's good for me. I answered.
And the next question didn't come out though.
The question I came out, but it
Oh.
looks like some people may have been desynced.
I'm still in. It says 14 seconds. Now it says 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Got mine back. So
And I got it right, by the way.
I gotta learn how to put best time. I don't know how in the world this thing got 70 seconds. Fast forward. Anytime now. Hey. There we are. We have Natalia, Nicole, and Muhaba. I take it that was the actual handout that we were about to go look at. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, in the actual prioritization of these tickets, let's go look over here. Let's try to play along ourselves here. You guys can still see my desktop or no?
Yes.
All right. So, I'm going to be putting you guys into your own little breakout rooms here. Pause.
Let's see. It's affecting multiple people because of the staff training. And let's see, it would impact on the business if these people weren't able to be trained.
Mm-hmm. So we got many clients, major impact to the business. Would you say also time seems to be an issue?
Yes, the training is today.
Yeah, so that's a triple threat there, right? Many clients, major impact to the business, and the severe time sensitivity. So that one is high, and he does meet the case of all three. Next is, let's see, Arturo, please help me out.
A 5, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Jennifer Emmett reports that she has lost her power cord / charger cord. She has battery power to last about 3 hours and then will no longer be able to do any work. We put it under low priority. We
Low
didn't.
priority. Okay, it's one client. I would have to
Yeah.
agree.
Mhm.
All right. And is there any immediate impact to the business?
No,
Is there any time sensitivity to this?
not really. She has 3 hours to work, so, and within those 3 hours, she can find a new cord or something.
But for our purposes of cases, how much time do I have to fix this?
3 hours because she has 3 hours of battery power. So it
Okay.
is time sensitive.
For
In
us,
that
right?
case, in this
For
in
her
this
at
case,
this moment it is not, but for us technically is. We only have 3 hours to be able to get to her. And we, from the looks of it, maybe something as easy as just lending her maybe a power cord, right? Maybe if we have a one handy.
Mhm.
All right. So medium, maybe, since it is time sensitive. I would agree it's not impacting the business and it's not impacting many. Next one, number 6. I think that's the last one, right? Number 6, Michael. Can you help me out with this one and see what your group got out of this one?
Yes, give me 1 second. All right. Danielle Winston reports the entire company needs to update its sales software. The update needs to be completed within 1 month. For that one, I put low. Just because it said till the end of the month. It says it's till the end of the month. It does affect everybody, but within a month, it's still a ways away.
Okay, okay. So is you tell me how many people?
The whole company.
Okay. And is there immediate impact to the business?
Um, in a way, yes, but just I thought with the way they said it's till the end of the month, it was like
So there's
not a
no
form of
immediate
urgency.
impact, right? There's no immediate impact, I would agree. And in the time sensitive is a month. Now, the 3 questions was, does it impact more than one?
Yes.
Okay, so we said yes to the first question. We said no to for the immediate impact, and we said no to the time sensitivity. So 1 out of 3, I said yes. So would it be low, medium, or high?
Low. I need
Low is
medium.
yes, thank you. So medium in this case, yes, I do agree with you, which now when I have several mediums, I know I can wait for this guy out of all the mediums last, technically, right? All right, cool, cool, cool. So now that we have an idea, recap, we said number 1 was low. There's only one client. Work is unaffected and it's not time sensitive. Number 2, we said it was medium since it has multiple clients and there is no immediate impact to the business or sensitivity for today in reference to time. Next one, which was number 3, we stated was high overall, one client, major impact to the client itself, and it's very highly time sensitive. Next one we have is number 4. We said it was high due to many clients, major impact to the business, and the severe time sensitivity. That was the triple threat. Next one was number 5, was medium, one client, no immediate impact to the actual business, but there is a time sensitivity of 3 hours. And next is a last medium with multiple clients, no immediate impact, and basically time is of no essence since it is almost a month before we have to. I'll leave that now back to you guys. I'm going to be pausing the recording here and welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. So I'm going to give 100 space bucks credits Obviously, not real money. I'll give those away all the time.
Transferable to Cash App. Zelle.
Yeah, you can test. Maybe you go to Star Trek. They might be able to give you something from a replicator at least. Be able to get something out.
Live long and prosper.
So overall, how do you guys enjoy this? Do you guys find it very easy assigning priority levels? From our first roundabout, was it easy?
I
No,
wouldn't
it's
say
tough
it's
trying
Yeah, I
to
won't
decide
say
what
it's
where
easy.
belong where.
It's a little difficult because you start putting human emotion into it and or assumptions, and it gets very, very difficult. Unfortunately, you've got to be very logical on the three questions and look at them. So sometimes it is very easy. Which of the tickets do you think was the easiest to assign a priority level overall? Out of all the ones that you saw, which one you thought was the easiest?
Carla,
Carla, yeah.
number one.
1000%, Carla.
Staff meeting.
The staff meeting. It was easy to decipher that one.
The
Yes, that was
easiest,
pretty.
the easiest for me is that 1 month thing, because if you're like me, you would do it on day 29.
Interesting, very interesting.
An entire floor, you'd wait till the 29th day.
We talked about this, Josh. This is
You have
not
to wait.
persistence.
What if there was like,
does sound real good.
Right? What if it didn't even apply? You'd be so messed up.
yeah, what if it's like 1,000 people? You got to update like individually.
I was thinking real hard on that. Now they probably have a server where you could catch all of them,
Yeah,
Probably,
well,
but there's always going to be
but
something that goes
but you
wrong.
have to
That's just the
schedule.
way
You
the
gonna have to
world is.
schedule a day when nobody's there using the application, especially if they can't
yeah, right. I mean, so you
update
gotta
while
see
while
those
using.
windows. Those windows are issue there. So we did go once through just to make sure we all agree. It was one was low, two was medium, three was high, four was high. We also have five, which was then a medium, six was medium. So from there, can somebody tell me which one would you have picked to be first and why?
Travis's.
I would go. I went with Corey.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer.
It was a split between people choosing Travis and Hoey, number 3 and 4. That's the first one.
Okay.
But I chose number 3 due to there's a specific due date time, and it's in the morning. And I'm not sure if the training is like in the afternoon or not,
Okay.
but it
Not a
wasn't this.
problem.
Thought it said all day
Right.
training.
Okay. It's in all staff training today. Okay. Now let's debate 3 and 4. That should be debatable between which one's first, fine and dandy. So let's look at 3. Number 3 we
Sorry
stated
that
was
I'm interrupting. It looks like Nicole cannot get into the class, or maybe
I'm
the
sorry, no,
issue was resolved.
I got it. I got in. Lazaro let
Okay.
me in. Thank you so
Okay. Okay. Great. I just noticed. Sorry.
oh okay. So we were debating in reference. Thank you very much for that information. In reference to either putting step 3 or step 4 first. So let's look at this. The first one, which is number 3, we said was high due to it was one client, a major impact to the actual client's work, and it had severe time sensitivity. So it had 2 out of the 3. Would we agree? Let's look at number 4. Number 4, we said was high due to that it was impacting many clients. It was a major impact to the business, and it was time sensitive. It had 3 out of the 3. So should I do 2 out of the 3 first or 3 out of the 3 first?
3 out of 3.
3 out of 3.
Okay. Now they're gonna throw another curveball to you guys. Now that we got first, hopefully out of the way, which was 3 out of the 3. looking at our list again, now that we move that guy out of the way, which one was the easiest to put last?
The
Number
1 month
one.
one.
Okay, we have a vote for the 1 month.
See, I was
Uh,
pondering on that
We
too, the
put
one,
number
Carla
one.
last.
Carla.
Carla.
but due to priority levels, we agreed to put Carla last. Yeah.
Carla is last. Carla is the only with low priority. I would have to agree with the whole team that says that a low priority ticket would be six in my list, would be the sixth in my list to take care of. All right, so we got first. We just got last. Let's move up again to now second place. This one is another huge curveball for everyone. Not only is last place usually hard because of the fact that we're looking at that month timeline. And no, we do never, ever wait for the last minute to do anything. The timeline lets us know exactly when it's due, and we don't do when it's due. We do it in priority order. Therefore, it will be much more priority than Carla in that case. So for second, which is the hardest one out of all, the biggest curveball out of all, who do we believe should go second? Should we go and continue on with our normal
Jorge.
Jorge is next. So Jorge second. Everybody agree?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the second high priority.
Okay. Agreed. Is there anything in there though you would say if I was gonna go in between Jorge and Travis, anything in there that you think I might be able to fit that might be almost exact same severity, but literally take seconds. I don't know how long Jorge's issue is going to take, about if somehow he forgets all his stuff, or when I do reset his password and confirm that he's on, how about if he has caps lock, or what about if we do change his password, he's not on the network, and it takes me even longer to be able to get him in. What do you think might be something is a simple but almost the same priority?
The charger, Jennifer.
Okay, we got to vote for a charger, which is a medium. Anyone else may agree?
Yeah, I would agree
Yeah,
with
the
that.
charger.
Okay, it's got 2 votes for chargers, actually 3 votes for charging. Anybody else? I would agree with those that do believe that Jorge should take third place. As for Jennifer Emmett, she would be a quick fix and something that I could resolve on my way back from Travis Lawrence. I just left, go deal with that, right? And I can now deal with Jennifer while I'm out there. 2 for 1, bang. Next, obviously, superseding anything else would be, hopefully, at that point, we had number 1 was Travis.
Step 2.
Cheryl.
We did Jennifer second. So there was one more up there still pending.
Cheryl.
We already said Jorge will be 3, and then number 4, Cheryl.
Okay, Jorge. Okay, 3. Then Cheryl, I would believe, is fourth. Agreed. Then who's left?
The update.
The month-long thing.
Number 6.
Danielle with the
5.
update.
Yeah. And then lastly, Carla Davidson. Now, the reason also we do not wait, it even tells us it's the entire company needs this update. Could you imagine me sending out an update as Joshua would like on the last date to the whole entire company? That's one quick way of getting fired. You could just imagine, just put 500. Now multiply 500. I'll put it a small file, 50 megabytes. See how much is getting downloaded at a given time, all at the same time, because Joshua wanted to wait until the last day. So be very careful, very careful. Those are very tricky. If we do not take human nature into play, sometimes even something as simple as a power charger to be dropped off, which only has 3 hours. That was the other major issue there, is that although it was medium, its time sensitivity was 3 hours. This is supposedly, I guess, in the beginning of our day. And boom goes the dynamite. Although there is a flip of a coin at times between Ms. Jennifer Emmerich and or George Garcia, but usually the ones that are quick fixes that it's it's impossible to get it wrong. She's missing a charger. You have a charger. You give the charger. Problem fixed. See how weird. Next is our elevation of tickets. I'll share my screen again for you to enjoy. What do you think it means to elevate a ticket, Ayana? What do you think does it mean for you if I say you're going to be elevating a ticket?
It means giving it a higher priority based on the other tickets that you have.
Elevate ticket would be it's like escalating.
Or escalating it to your supervisor.
Yeah, it could
That
be
one.
either to your supervisor or it can be a higher level person that deals with it. Let's say telecom, because you're not able to fix it or something, might be able to actually go ahead and do it. Anyone remember more or less the steps for troubleshooting or dealing with clients? Any of those?
Ask open-ended questions.
Okay.
Ask for their name.
Correct. That would be the ticket itself. But let's say in the
Identify
overall
the
with the
problem.
stages of making decisions, there's a point when we said in troubleshooting where we're testing our theories,
Yes,
right?
theory.
All right. And then if the theory is not confirmed overall, we should hopefully conduct either independent research, reach out to our knowledge banks, maybe look at previously resolved tickets, online resources to be able to hopefully identify and test a new theory. Overall, if the theory is not confirmed and the second attempt at resolving a ticket also does not work, we should hopefully at that point be able to bring it to a teammate or a specialist to be able to advise us, since we have not been able to find it ourselves and or have tested 2 or 3 things already. Usually at that point there should be hopefully a formal or informal way of requesting for assistance, be someone at the same level as you and or someone at a higher level than you, be a specialist and or another department that takes care of it, maybe servers department, maybe sometimes telecom. Either way, let's say if your teammate is unable to assist you and the coworker or special group is unable to resolve the actual ticket itself, this is when you would actually elevate the ticket and make sure your supervisor fully understands the impact to the company and make sure we follow any protocols for elevating tickets. Remember, at this point, usually our management team want to understand what is the impact, what is impeding you, and what he or she can do to be able to remove this roadblock out of your way. Don't expect that they're going to be able to have a little wand to be able to just fix it themselves. Obviously, there is some supervisors who are very well versed, although although not all of them are well versed in IT. We do agree, though, the IT professional will be repeating steps 3 and 4 to be able to test out their ideas and ensure that they're able to hopefully resolve the issue. In cases where the client is extremely upset because of something went wrong with the help desk and the way we handle it would be another reason why we want to be able to elevate or escalate this ticket to our superior supervisors. In case where maybe the tickets has been in the management system and in a TMS, in a ticket management system, for a long period of time. Unfortunately, the ticket was never assigned to somebody, but it's been sitting there. And then all of a sudden the person calls and is very upset. But it's a low priority ticket. So you could only imagine how upset this person comes if we tried to tell them, well, I'm sorry, yeah, you've been low priority. That's why every day, yeah, they've been kicking you back. That's not something that we want to be able to tell them in their face at that point. We if they were that upset and because of the amount of time, even though the SLA has not come about, we may need to obviously escalate the issue. In cases where the ticket issue in is particularly time or topic sensitive and urgent needs, in other words, maybe usually we give, as I stated, an hour, 15 minutes, or maybe a whole day to be able to respond, but we can't wait and we have to cut it because as we said, it wasn't many and it wasn't severely impacting and it wasn't time sensitive, but it was the president of the region. Therefore, now I have to go escalate this because she's getting upset because she didn't meet the 3 criterias and I'm just reading a verbatim that she is not important. At that point, we would obviously escalate it so that it can obviously be resolved and fixed as soon as possible. Be whoever it is that we need to pull off, the supervisor at that point needs to make the decision. Lastly, another one that we may run into is in cases where IT professional notices that a ticket was resolved incorrectly and we've got to reopen a ticket. What did I say if a ticket was closed? If a ticket was closed, can I open it?
Don't you have to make a new ticket?
That is correct. If a ticket was closed, a brand new ticket must be open if we want to avoid getting in trouble. Once again, policies and procedures supersedes what I'm telling you right now. As for the Fortune 500s and the people that take these ticketing systems and the SLA series, you cannot reopen a closed ticket because of the fact that the clock stops on the SLA. The system stops the clock. So if you reopen that case, it doesn't matter if you last 5 years with it. The SLA was already satisfactory. It's marked like if it's complete. Therefore, if reopening it would get you in trouble. As for a resolved ticket, in a resolved ticket, you can reopen. That is not a closed ticket. Means that you completed whatever it is that they wanted, but it doesn't mean that it actually was fixed. Therefore, you can reopen a resolved ticket. At that point, my friends, was the ice cream truck passing by. Unsure how much time it's going to take me, so I will not push this any further. I was paused. In reference to escalating anything to your supervisor, those roadblocks, it would be obviously if the actual maybe customer is upset is another reason why. If they're really upset and you can't calm them down, so therefore I wouldn't be able to continue. Right. First step of dealing with an upset customer is to deal with the upset customer, then the issue. I'm unable to obviously continue with the service if they're upset, so I would most likely escalate that if I see that I ran into a roadblock and they do not seem to calm down. The next one that we said was in cases where tickets have been sitting in the actual ticketing system for a long time. So then obviously, again, we most likely going to have a client who is upset, and we're not going to go and tell them obviously that the SLA hasn't come up and that they just need to sit and wait. They most likely will be upset and may want to escalate it. We will most likely escalate those to see who can jump on it. Next is where where the cases themselves are very particularly time sensitive or topic sensitive. As I said, maybe the CEO has something that, and she wants it fixed within the next 10 minutes, but it doesn't check any of the boxes. It's just her that wants it. Therefore, this is not something that you can control. This is something that you need to make sure your supervisor controls and or approves, so that in the next 10 minutes somebody can run over there and fix whatever it is that he or she wants. And lastly would be, obviously, if you notice that a ticket was closed incorrectly or resolved incorrectly, either which way, if it's closed, we're not able to open it. We must obviously open a brand new one. If it was resolved, we'll be able to open it. Either which way, we should be obviously escalating this because it will be an issue with the client. We need to make sure we notify management so that they're fully aware of the issue before it's side, how you say, side, uh, I don't know how you call it, but sidebar or catches them off guard. They have to be fully aware because if the complaint comes in, we didn't notify, hence communication is key. We as team need to be able to, even ourselves are not responsible of the issue. Like I said, Wizard of Oz, I just saw the ball dropped. It's not my ball. Let me give it to the supervisor, let him know what happened. I'm going to attempt to fix it now, apologize to the customer. At the same time, my supervisor should be notified because I cannot go and reprimand. I cannot go and correct. I cannot provide feedback to somebody who is equivalent to me. The moment that I try to coach and or provide feedback to an IT professional who may take it personal. Obviously, at one point, we may be able to speak to people directly, but I would strongly recommend just giving the feedback to your supervisor. Unless, again, policies and procedures, maybe there's an open door policy, and maybe they don't care and they would prefer if you go directly to that person. Either which way, by the book, we should be escalating those issues to our supervisors.
I got you. Just to clarify on the last one, you said any unresolved, closed, and resolved tickets, correct?
Yes, basically, it would incorrectly resolve.
Incorrectly resolved.
For
All right.
instance, maybe the person asked to reset their voicemail and somebody went and reset their email password, for instance. Closed the ticket and said everything's fine. When in fact it
Okay.
wasn't because the voicemail was the problem.
All right. Thank you, Diego. I'll see you after lunch.
See you after lunch, no problem. Bye.
Stop the recording.
Pause it. Yeah, because that resume the recording from here. So I believe we were answering these questions and stated some of the main reasons why we will want to elevate it. So, can you think of other times when an IT professional might take exceptions and take a direct route to elevate a ticket?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
When the ticket stayed in the system for a long time,
Right. Okay.
or sometimes past the due date and then nobody fixed it.
Any other ones?
If they receive a ticket beyond their level of expertise.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Anyone? Come on, guys.
Did anyone already say management requested it?
Management may request it. Okay, that there's always some exceptions to the rule. Overall, we want to understand Each organization will have its own guidelines for when and how to elevate a ticket. It is extremely important to follow these guidelines when they give it to you. Today, we're learning some of the general guidelines to follow overall. On top of that, you will be able to factor in the what specifics your company may obviously let you know when you get hired. Common sense sometimes kicks in, as we stated, if we do know who this person is and the actual level of authority, at times your supervisor may be able to even tell you, okay, if this guy from operations comes, go ahead, no matter what, please just jump on the tickets, as an example. Either which way, we just want to make sure that we have at least a guideline and understand what decision makings they are when those exceptions come into play to be able to elevate it. Questions or doubts so far?
And put in the chat that if a ticket was fixed incorrectly, that would be a reason to elevate it, or for a professional to take a different route to elevation.
Well, if we don't know ourselves in reference to that, how to fix it, then we may want to elevate the ticket. As for communicating and letting our management team know what's happened, that we would do, right? Because we got to reopen a ticket or something like that. But elevating it to my supervisor, we agree that he or she really is not removing any roadblock. All I have to do is open up a brand new ticket. The point is communicating, obviously, to avoid that. Just imagine there's always then a survey that goes out. A lot of the times, these people don't look at who or that ticket number is. If we do not notify to our supervisor that this just happened, I just opened a brand new ticket, or I just reopened a resolved ticket, not a closed ticket, whatever it is that I did, if I don't notify that, and then the survey comes in, and I somehow get gigged because it's a brand new ticket, right? Because either which way I'm reopening it, it's going to be saved on the mine. The survey goes out, and I get gigged. If I'm the one getting gigged, I didn't notify, didn't communicate. Would you think the after the fact, me giving this explanation to the supervisor at that point is going to be beneficial for the conversation of art of having conversation with your supervisor, or would it look unprofessional?
Unprofessional.
Unprofessional, right? And we always want to, unless if we want to just work at a job, I always say we always want to work on our career. So the better we learn how to communicate and show these soft skills that we have, the more likely that they will obviously accept us taking on bigger challenges and bigger roles when it company. Any questions or concerns? All right. So when elevating a ticket, we want to communicate the following: a brief description of what the issue is, any solution that we've already attempted, and number three, which is the ultimate reason really for it. So now we've given them what I like to call the Heinz, which is everything. We've given them obviously in their language. We're not going to go and put a detailed dissertation like if we were talking to anyone that is in our level. We're just going to give a description of the issue, everything that we've attempted, and obviously at this point we've hit a roadblock. This is the reason why I'm coming to you, because at all times you understand. Usually, if you're able to transfer or give the case to someone else, there should be no reason for the elevation to your supervisor. The only reason why we elevate to our supervisor is because, like I said, we hit a roadblock. Can't move. We're stuck. At this point, we make sure we notify the reason and the impact. Impact must be clear to them exactly what is the impact. Questions, doubts? So, who wants to help us out here? Maybe somebody remembers what I said earlier. If we can think about the elevations steps. So when we're starting off, out of all the things, when we were troubleshooting, we got to a certain step, which we said was
Test the theory.
That's theory
okay.
one.
So that's step one, right? Now that we just test our theory, what do we do?
Theory.
What happens now? We're talking about obviously these are the steps of escalations. So most likely it's gonna fail. So what is it? What would be
Theory
step
is
two?
not confirmed.
Theory not
Step two.
confirmed.
All right, agreed.
Yeah.
Now for step three, what should I do? Now that it didn't work, right? We're going back to that other step over here within troubleshooting theory, right?
That's the new theory.
Into a team.
Conduct independent
No,
research.
conduct independent research.
Step three, I would have to agree, conduct independent research, right? Check the forums, make sure that maybe if there is a, as I said, sometimes these systems themselves have a dictionary or plethora of resolutions to these common errors or problems. At the same time, a lot of the times they give you a project notebook or some other name that they like to give it, which is actually all of the available applications, all the documentations in there, even the people to escalate it if it's that sophisticated for you to be able to get to the right person. Hence why our ultimate goal of elevating should be that we've exacerbated all this, including the option there where we just don't know who else to reach, right? Nobody's able to help us. So now we stop three. Now we're going to step four. What would be step four? After I researched and got some information, I have supposedly some sort of idea. What would be my step four?
That's
Test
the new
another
Test new
theory.
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 All right. After I tested my new theory, obviously that most likely did not work. So what would be my step five?
Theory is not
Theory is
confirmed.
not confirmed.
All right. Now we're going into step six. What should I do now?
Bring a
Bring a
teammate.
teammate or specialist for advice.
Right. At that time, that unfortunately does not work. So what would be step seven?
Teammate is unable to
Teammate is
assist.
Okay. So my last step would be
Elevate.
thank you. Questions or concerns on the what we just reviewed? All right, I'm gonna be putting you back into your actual breakout rooms. In each scenario, an IT professional does something well while the other one is not. Each group will provide a list of items that the IT professional did well and a list of items that they didn't, they need approval upon. All right, so we're gonna be going out into our breakouts and pausing, share out and help us read number one. All right,
I'll read it.
Joshua.
Oh,
All right, Shiloh, thank you. I always love someone to come out and go ahead, Shiloh.
okay, yeah. Crystal is an IT professional who is working on a client's company cell phone. The client submitted a ticket a week ago, reporting that the phone will not allow her to access email. Each time she opens the email app, the app crashes and returns to the home screen. Crystal does not have a lot of experience with cell phones, and in fact, her company has a special group that works on cell phone issues. But Crystal has decided to try a few basic fixes first. After her first theory does not resolve the issue, she reviews closed tickets related to cell phones. This takes her the rest of the day. The following day, she tests a new theory, which also doesn't work. One of her coworkers, Dax, knows a lot about cell phones, so she decides to ask him for help before elevating the ticket. Dax agrees to work on the phone and she observes him so she can learn. Dax is able to fix the phone within a couple hours. Crystal is thrilled that she will be able to close the ticket herself and she has learned a new skill. However, when she gets back to her desk, she learns that the client has submitted a complaint about the length of time it has taken to get her phone fixed, and her supervisor has sent her an email asking why she did not send the phone onto the cell phone group.
So, what was your team's feedback overall in her expectations for elevation overall? Did she follow the guidelines and or the steps correctly?
No,
Yes.
because she should have transferred it to the cell phone group.
That's where I always said, thank you, very good point there. One of you said yes, and the other one said no. And technically, yes, they did went through the steps per se. At the same time, I would have to agree with, I believe that was Ayana. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I'm horrible sometimes with
Yeah, it was
names.
me.
Okay. And she stated that there is a group. And as I stated, sometimes there is telecom where there is people, although you yourself may be able to do it, or you yourself may have the knowledge, but you yourself do not have the authority. There is a specific group in this case, which was the cell phone group, I think is what they're called here. Cell phone group who specifically is sitting doing nothing. I mean, sorry, is sitting there waiting for these cell phones to come in to be repaired and or help remotely to fix any issues that these cell phones may have. A lot of these Fortune 500 companies have a telecom department because obviously that is a niche, just like there is server people, just like there is people that create IDs, there's people that give rights. All these are separate. So we have to be fully aware depending on the company and the guidelines that we have. And in this case, apparently she that I'm aware of was clear that one, she didn't have experience, two, that there was a group, and three, she took her sweet time and then went to somebody else. I mean, she went above and beyond on something that she wasn't even supposed to be touching to begin with. The second one, go with Michael. Help me out here. Read this one. I saw Freelance raise your hand. I don't know if that was raising your hand or if you're just laying
Did
back.
Claude have
Oh,
I was making a joke. Sorry. Go ahead.
Claude has been an IT professional at his company for 3 weeks when a client approaches him, furious because his laptop has crashed. I won't be able to do any work until this is fixed, the client yells. Claude takes down all the information he can get from the client about what happened to the laptop and then says he will get to it as soon as possible. The client, unsatisfied with Claude's response, demands that the laptop be taken to the supervisor and dealt with immediately. Claude agrees to do this and the client leaves. When he finds a supervisor, Claude explains how angry the client was during the conversation and goes into great detail about everything the client said. The supervisor looks confused and asks, well, what did you try with the laptop? Claude explains he did not try anything yet, but that he brought the laptop directly to the supervisor. Claude's supervisor, clearly frustrated, says, if you bring me your work every time someone gets mad at you, I would be here 24 hours a day.
Okay, so what do you think he did wrong there? I mean,
he should have tried to see what was wrong with the computer first. He shouldn't have allowed himself to get taken up by the customers, emotions like that.
But the customer said do it right away. Send you gotta give it to my supervisor. I want this now.
You gotta do it by the book though. That's the proper like procedure. There's procedures to things that you have to. There's like steps to things that you have to do.
You could have
Agreed.
also
Now,
tried to calm the customer down too.
well,
I was
apparently he
gonna
was
say
able
that.
to calm him down, right? Because the customer stepped away. From what if I heard you correctly, they wanted you to go do something, but they left. Did they not?
Yeah, he did. As soon as he said that he was going to take it to the supervisor, he left. Once he left, he could have just worked on it.
Correct. So now, as soon as he did notice this, he could probably let his supervisor know, hey, just to let you know, this guy's upset. But you all agree, as I stated before, what was the impact there? Besides this guy who was supposedly upset, who then left, had the customer stayed there and insisted, now you have a legitimate reason. The guy is outright. He doesn't want to let me fix it. He just wants to talk to you. I've attempted to fix it and tell him that that we're sorry or whatever it is that you did to try to deal with his emotions, but unfortunately the person resists. At this point, they did resist until you said that you would, but then obviously I understand we don't want to lie to the customer. We will obviously let the supervisor know, but you do agree that what the supervisor is stating, you're gonna get outright customers almost every single call. Do attempt whatever you can to fix the issue as quickly as possible, if it is possible. But obviously, if you see that the first roundabout you fail, most likely you might want to raise your hand and let them know, hey, I'm working on this. Just to let you know, Menganito may come back, or in this case, the guy's name is Claude. Claude may come back. We're working on it, but he seemed very upset and he wanted to escalate it to you. Just want to let you know that we're working on it and we're attempting this, and this. If not, I'll be escalating it to such and such department afterwards. But just want to let you know in case if he comes up to you. Okay, but always have the three steps in play. Everybody remember what the three steps were when you're escalating a ticket? What is it you need to know?
Yeah, you have to
Test the
you have
theory.
to
No, that's
what's up.
the
How
escalating
many
thing,
people?
but the things that you're gonna give
You're gonna
to your supervisor.
give
How
a brief description of the IT issue, any solution already attempted, and the reason of elevation.
Repeat that, please, for the team in case if they didn't hear it.
A brief description of the IT issue, any solution already attempted, and the reason for elevation or why you're elevating the ticket.
Okay. So do you agree? He did bring to them the reason why he was elevating, but did he knock off all those boxes before he brought it to the supervisor?
No.
No, and his reason wasn't a very good one either.
I mean, the customer was frustrated, fine and dandy. He gave maybe actually instead of a brief, he gave a detailed expression, which the supervisor was looking at him most likely halfway through this conversation, like, "What's your question?" You're gonna get that. Trust me, from supervisors and or managers. If you start blabbing away, I still remember when I first got into management, I was so excited, and since I was translating from either Spanish or Portuguese into English, I was still stuck in my technician thoughts. That's why I want to make sure you guys know. So I'm here trying to find out all the stuff, and then I come back and I translate more or less a verbatim. I did that two or three times before the actual director of telecom IM'd me, and he goes, "No impact." I'm like, "What?" And I'm going in because he's understanding what's going on in Spanish. So everybody else that's on the call that we're talking about, NOC, we have operations, OCC is on the line. These are all big people who basically money is of the essence of them. Meanwhile, I was unfortunately wasting the time. Oops. what did I just click? Of everybody because of the fact that I was translating word for word exactly what's going on. I'm sorry, let me pause that here. My cat's about to. We need to be very careful when we're communicating with management. If we do not meet all these criteria and just babble on and give a full detail of everything except for what matters, you will get that little baffled look from confused look from management asking exactly what is it that they can do to be able to help you. In this case, this gentleman unfortunately was upset, and then the other person just went straight and cried to his supervisor. At least in the eyes of the supervisor, there was nothing attempted, nothing done to be able to even let him know exactly what your roadblock was. Everyone agree? Yes, no, maybe so.
Could you repeat the 3 steps again so I can note that down?
I believe your friend can bail you out on that one. He knows it verbatim there, exactly what they are. Can you
Brief
help him?
description
Mm-hmm.
in any attempt to fix the issue and reason for elevation,
That is
elevating the
correct.
ticket.
That is
Thank you.
correct. All right. Any other questions in reference to elevation or escalating, depending who comes up with the word? Any concerns in reference to prioritizing? All right. I'll be stopping the recording there and sharing.